A few moments, President Biden, continuing his trip in France, will meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Paris as he continues to commemorate the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Following that speech today, another back in Normandy this afternoon. The bilateral meeting comes amid Russia's growing aggression and tensions over the pace of U.S. military aid. Good morning. With us, we've got the host of Way Too Early, White House bureau chief at Politico, Jonathan Lemire, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and associate editor of The Washington Post, and MSNBC political analyst Eugene Robinson, and President Emeritus of the Council on Foreign Relations, Richard Haass. He is author of the weekly newsletter Home and Away, available on Substack. Good morning to all of you. Let's begin, though, with Kelly O'Donnell. We find her in Paris this morning. Kelly, so what can we expect from this meeting today between President Biden and President Zelensky? President Biden, in that speech at Normandy yesterday, emphasizing the importance of supporting Ukraine through its war with Russia.
Well, good morning, Willie. And certainly the relationship between the European allies, the United States and Ukraine, is very much relevant in the broader commemorations of D-Day, because all of the focus has been on the threat of aggression and how can that be stopped and how can democracy be preserved. So expect those themes today from President Biden, both in his meeting with President Zelensky of Ukraine and in a separate speech he'll be doing for the American people that is not quite the same as what we saw yesterday, where you had 24 world leaders and you had a very dramatic series of ceremonies. This will be a direct speech to the American people about some of the actions of American soldiers back 80 years ago. So in this meeting with President Zelensky at the President's Hotel this morning, we expect that he will be talking about aid, how the U.S. and allies can support Ukraine. And we've seen in recent days how President Biden has authorized President Zelensky and Ukrainian forces to use American weapons beyond the borders of Ukraine. Not all the way to Moscow, as the president says, not an attack on the Kremlin. But if there are defensive actions they need to take using American-supplied weapons that go inside the borders of Russia in order to defend themselves against coming attacks, that would be permitted. There has been a creep over the 2+ years of the Ukrainian war where the U.S. has hesitated to provide a certain type of munition or supply or piece of equipment or the rules of engagement. And then because of conditions on the ground and concern about how Russia has been relentless in this assault on Ukraine, that sort of line has moved at times. There was also very much a very broad supportive welcome for President Zelensky at the D-Day events from some of the veterans who are certainly experienced in knowing what's on the line when you fight for your own existence, and at the same time from other world leaders. So today will be an important part, getting away from some of the commemoration, touching on that for sure, but talking about some of the present day concerns that face the president and allies of the United States here in Europe. Willie?